Members, the Housing Committee is resumed for consideration of the debate on the performance of the 2008-09 and current operations of Crown entities, public organisations and state enterprises. At the break, Keith Locke had the call and has 4 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Keith Locke.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. The New Zealand Transport Agency has in many ways done a good job, but it's handicapped by two things. Firstly, the government sets very strong policy guidelines, and particularly Brian Joyce, the Minister, laying down 7 roads of national significance that the NZTA then had to fund, the most controversial of which is the Puhoi to Wellsford motorway, sometimes called the Holiday Highway, because it's not really essential to have that turned into motorway at this stage with the low density of traffic on it, but that would be at huge cost, the cost of a couple of $1 billion over some years, and the benefit-cost ratio for that would clearly be at the bottom of the heap in terms of priorities for expenditure of government money on transport. When in the broader Auckland region, it's quite clear that the priority should be public transport. But if you look at the expenditure of the NZTA across the country, they had a 3-year planning horizon where that's from 2009 to 2012, the total expenditure was to be $8.7 billion over that 3 years, and only $900 million of that for public transport, and only $51 million of that for walking and cycling. And it does list some of the, so you can see there that public transport and walking and cycling are sort of afterthoughts. The New Zealand Transport Agency still sees itself as largely a roading agency. And while it does mention in its list of national projects a few good public transport projects like the New Lynn transit developments, integrated ticketing for Auckland, which is very important and it should be hurried up. There is some progress being made there. Railway improvements in Auckland and railway station improvements in Auckland and Wellington, and it does mention the Dominion Road priority lanes and development of public transport along the important artery of Dominion Road in Auckland. The problem there is that the Auckland City Council, is, which has some control over things, is cutting back on all of that and putting, other than buses, on the bus priority lanes. It's not a very good development. In the area of cycleways, of course, the Green Party is working with the national government on a national cycleway. Unfortunately, it hasn't been translated into too much in the urban setting yet, and the New Zealand Transport Agency is not really helping too much there. You can see that with the very popular idea of a walkway, cycleway over the Auckland Harbour Bridge, and piles of people went over it when they had a big protest in that direction a year or so ago that I was on. Even though that walkway, cycleway over the Harbour Bridge would only cost various estimates of 20 million or 40 million, minute in the scale of the overall NZTA budget, the NZTA hasn't gone along with that, and the cycling and walking advocates have even said, look, we'll do a private-public partnership, we'll charge people per ride or per walk, and we'll virtually pay for it ourselves. Even then the NZTA is very reluctant to go along with it, so that's not terribly good. One of the projects, and it is mentioned somewhere in the broader NZTA documents, particularly in the Auckland documents, the idea of an underground extension of the Britomart terminus underground to connect with the Western Line around Mount Eden railway station. At least it's mentioned in the NZTA documents. $6 million has been given to look at a route for this rail tunnel, but in terms of the longer term projections, it's sort of in the never whether this will ever be built and when it will be built. This would cost a lot less to build than the Puhoi to Wellsford extension. It would be roughly $1.5 billion, although it's not fully costed out at this point. And the Green Party says, let's get on with critical public transport infrastructure in Auckland, particularly this loop beyond Britomart to connect with the Western Line. Thank you.